So, hey, what's up, guys? So, today we have another exciting guest. Her name is Tamiya. She is an actress from Los Angeles. Now, a really cool thing about her is she is an actress in both live action and motion capture. That's why we're going to be talking to her a little bit because with the rise of Unreal Engine and MetaHumans, motion capture is getting a lot of attention. And I've been wanting to talk to an actress who's doing a lot of mocap because I want to learn some stuff and I'm hoping she can give us some tips. So first of all, thank you for agreeing to talk to me here for the channel. And first things first, let's just go ahead and introduce yourself if you don't mind.
Yeah, hey, I'm Tamiya Bantam. I'm an actor. I also direct and produce a lot of film content, but I do work both in the motion capture, performance capture industry and in film, television, and I have a background in theater.
Okay, so theater, you got everything. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty
Across
talented stuff. I know, that's crazy. So, why did you choose this career field? Was it something that kind of just fell on your lap, or was it like when you were little, you saw like a movie and you just fell in love with performing?
A little bit of both. So, Lord of the Rings, Andy Serkis, which I'm sure everyone remembers from a very long time ago. When I was a kid and I saw that film and I saw Gollum, I was like completely fascinated by how they created that. And so of course, like went home and looked it up and managed to find BTS of him in the very, old school OG mocap suit that they use, which was just like blew my mind. So it was on my radar from a pretty young age. And then watching things like James Cameron's Avatar and seeing the technology progress and how like even the storytelling can progress over time, that made me want to learn more and more about mocap. And then about 5 years ago, I came out from Australia to LA for the first time just to like check it out and see if, it was a logical move as an actor. And before I even knew where I was going to live here, the first thing I looked up was motion capture training. And I found a school and booked in for classes. And that's kind of how I got my start, just training with people here who have been in the industry for decades and actually shared their knowledge with all of us students and kind of just got the ball rolling from there.
That's crazy. So from the time like you moved here, how long in Los Angeles, how long did that take like for you to land your first gig, let's just say? Because I know a lot of people are trying to go or been going to Los Angeles to find work.
Oh yeah. It's a pretty cutthroat industry. So I officially moved here about 3 years ago now. And I think it was a year to the day that I landed my first
nice
like semi-major motion capture role in a major studio in an actual volume. I'd done little bits and pieces of people's personal projects, which were great, but it was either like to the day or the day after 1 year of moving here, and I got on the stage.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah, so I've been acting since I was 12. Like I said, I grew up in the theater, so I had done everything from Shakespeare to improv to, sort of semi-major theater company productions back in Australia. I've been in a few TV shows back there, like just small roles. And I'd also done a couple of motion capture projects for a personal project for a friend when I moved to Melbourne at Deakin University, which was great. And so I had definitely dabbled in like film and TV and theater quite a bit before I moved here. Things, of course, escalated and hopefully will keep escalating.
In a good way, yeah.
In a good way. But the thing with Australia, unfortunately, is that even though the film industry is pretty good over there, there's pretty much no motion capture production. So moving to either the States or to someone like London seemed to be the right choice in pursuing this career.
Right. And I know you talked about school. I'm not sure how it works in Australia, but college-wise, so so you went to college doing acting stuff. That was your kind of like your major.
I did acting and film production at college, so I got like both sides of the camera.
Yeah, that's so cool. So I didn't go to college, but in my high school, we had like how to milk a cow because I lived in like a place like that. And nowadays, high schools have like, oh yeah, there's an Unreal Engine program in there.
Right?
There's a 3DS Max. Yeah, it's like, yeah. And people ask me like, yeah, what did you do in high school? I'll, milk the cow.
I mean, that's a skill I don't have.
Right.
So.
It's just one of those. And I always ask that whenever I talk to somebody here. Obviously, we just started, but school is important because I want to know, like, okay, does it really help? And obviously, it does help.
Yeah, I
But
think it helps to a point. I mean, I think of course, it depends on what school you go to, what kind of school you go to. Like, I have a lot of friends that went to conservatories where it was like very much focused on one skill,
right.
versus like I went to more of a sort of open general college,
Gotcha.
I guess you could say. And the program was good. I wouldn't say it was great. Like, I came out still being like, I kind of don't know what to do now. Like, you sort of graduate and like, I've got like the beginnings of a skill set, but I didn't feel armed to take on like a solid career path. So it sort of depends who you are and where you want to go.
Yeah. And again, one of the questions I like to ask is, you got people watching, it's just taking that leap of faith, like you moving to America to just give it all you got. I mean, how was that decision made for you? How did you make that decision to just like, okay, I'm dropping everything here, I'm gonna go? Like, that had to be scary. Like, for me, I have a 9-to-5 regular job, and that's my safety blanket. I'm not doing this for a living because I'm too scared to jump into it. I've turned down a couple of offers, because I'm too chicken. I'm safe right now where I'm at. So I always ask people, is like, how did you make that decision for just? I'm just curious.
For me, it was sort of a multi-step process. So I am very lucky. My dad is American, so I have dual citizenship. So traveling here and moving here is really easy for me. And I'd been back and forth to the States multiple times throughout my childhood. So it wasn't like jumping into like completely unknown.
Into the unknown, right? Right.
It was familiar. I've got, like family in Cleveland. So there's a bit of a setup here for me. My partner, my husband, is Australian. So we had to go through the visa process with him when we moved our entire lives halfway around the world. But both of us are in the entertainment industry. He's also an actor. We own a film production company. So LA is like one of those places where if you're in our industry and you don't live here, it's like you kind of got to try it at least once. Even if it doesn't work out, you got to try it. So we got to a point where, like, we were living comfortably in Australia and making content and getting jobs, but you kind of have that itch in the back of your brain.
What if?
You were like, if we don't do it now, we're never going to do it. So we had I think it was one conversation, and then we made the decision that because I'm a citizen, I'd come over here for 3 months, try it out, like meet some people, see if it was livable, report back with the intel. And it was great. And so a year later, after all the visa paperwork, we made the move.
And that's another scary thing. It's not like you're moving somewhere where cost of living is low. I mean, it's Los Angeles, that's expensive stuff. And that's why it's like, I love it. I mean, I'm a coward, but I love it when people do that. It's like, you're really just, going all in to do something you really love. And I didn't even know that you had to like convince somebody else to do it. And that's I mean, thinking about it yourself is like, okay, this is crazy, but you're actually convincing somebody else. Like, that's, again, bravo to you. That's pretty crazy. The trust, right? So that's good.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to the next question. Difference between, just a couple of difference in your opinion, any ideas on the difference between acting for real, live action, versus acting motion capture? I mean, besides the hardware and stuff like that, are there things that you have to keep in mind when you're doing mocap?
Yeah, well, having also trained with a lot of people, like gotten the sort of basic training within the mocap industry has been really interesting because, I mean, the main things that are sort of obvious when you think about it is that you have to have very good body awareness, especially if you're doing things like cinematics are one thing. Like if you're a great actor, you're a great actor. You can do a cinematic for a game or, act in a film. But particularly for games, doing things like navigations, where you have to do every single movement that the character is capable of doing that the player controls, you have to have very good body awareness, very good timing, so that the entire system and the programmers and animators can take your movement and loop it and adjust it and do whatever they want to build that character. So that's completely different to, film, TV, theater. You don't have to do navigations. But in doing mocap and in learning about it, it is actually more similar to theater acting, I've found, than it is to film or television acting.
Wow.
Simply because it's capturing your whole body, right? So you don't want to create a very expensive picture of just like a face moving and subtleties. All that stuff is great. If you've got the facial rig on, it's great, but you don't always have the facial rig on. So if they're just capturing your body, you have to make sure that everything your character is doing, saying, is being translated into all of your limbs and all of your articulations so that the system can capture it and it feels like a full human versus like having a camera that's just capturing, you know, an ECU of your face, and you can do this beautiful internal acting. So it's sort of balancing the two,
right?
And knowing what your body is capable of and being able to control everything very intentionally.
That's crazy, because I kind of knew that it would take the full body stuff, but you're absolutely right when you said it, because it's not like whenever you're doing full body mocap. I mean, obviously in live action, if you have tight shots, you know, you don't have to worry about the rest of your body, but with full body mocap, you kind of have to be mindful all the time, which is, that's pretty...
And like the crazy thing about mocap as well is that not so much for animated films, but particularly for games, which is what I've worked in the most, is a lot of the time you'll rock up on the day, you don't actually know what you're shooting.
Oh,
like
wow.
If you're very, very lucky, you'll get a script or like an outline.
That's crazy.
But sometimes you won't even get that. And so you have to be so much more flexible as a performer, where you can get in the suit and get out on that volume, and then like, okay, well, here's the script, here are your lines, you gotta learn them like quick, fast. Sometimes you're matching your mouth movements, you're syncing to a voiceover that's pre-recorded, so sometimes it's not even your own voice.
Right.
Sometimes you're doing stunts, so the flexibility acting wise is so much broader, which is what makes it really fun.
Yeah. If you like challenges, but that sounds like a freaking stress to me. I'm like, what am I gonna do today? I have no idea. That's crazy. You're taking that as a challenge, right? You take that as a challenge, but that's like, man, that's like, yeah, that's scary. Again, that's cool though. But that's a good point. I never thought about it like that. And obviously, that's kind of like unfortunate. They don't give you the action list prior, right? It would be nice for you that you can actually practice those the night prior, and it would help you out. But I guess it's like, I guess going to work every day is like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be a surprise.
You just kind of rock up, you're like, what do you want me to do?
That's cool. So I didn't know you work at games. I thought like it was just a movie and mocap for films. I didn't even know you worked on a lot of games.
Yeah, I've done games. I did a really cool VR experience.
Okay.
That's out. It's called The March.
Yeah.
Produced by Time Magazine. Some previs stuff, some like film stuff.
And I guess there's, it really goes without saying, you kind of have to be fit to like be a mocap talent, right? You would just say, because you have to be able to do a lot of flexibility. Like you have to be flexible, you would say.
I mean, again, it depends, because you could approach it from multiple different angles. If you're focused on acting, and you know you build up your skill set in acting, then you don't necessarily they're not going to then take someone who's a brilliant actor and has honed their craft and then be like, okay, you're now going to do like a sword fight and all these stunts to it. Like they're not going to just throw you into things.
Right. So they usually have like the stunt mocap people.
Yeah, so
to
they'll
mix
have
and match them.
Or a stunt team that specialize in, you know, especially for like video games, right? Where it's very stunt heavy, action heavy. They'll usually bring in people that are specialists in that field for that stuff. If you can do it all, then
good on you, right? But and again, I'm gonna try and get a lot more people to talk to them, because honestly, right now, when I'm making movies like for fun and stuff, directing people with motion capture, I played around in motion capture a little bit, but I'm trying to get like tips and stuff like that on how to kind of like direct them on how to do mocap, because it is a little bit different. I mean, it's a lot of different. It's actually a lot of different, but not just a little, but it's a lot. So it's like, you know, and the people I work with is really their first time doing mocap. So it's like, we're all new here. We're trying to figure this out as we go, and, you know, hope for the best. But it's really nice to kind of just get the information from you. And that's why I wanted to talk to you so bad. So, cause I want to get some tips. And again, the last question is going to be like, do you have any tips? And I got an addition question to this, but do you have any tips for people out there whenever they're performing mocap or anything like that? Maybe some quick tips that you can give them?
My number one tip is just be ready for anything. Like, be flexible. Don't be like married to a certain idea, or even if you have a script, like don't like prepare what you need to prepare, but be prepared to be flexible.
And that's mentally and physically, I'm guessing, right?
Mentally, physically, like, yeah, just like know that you can walk into a space, and I mean, it's true of film sets as well, but anything can change at any time. But also you could be given different, like, you know, you could do your one character that you're scheduled for the day, and like, oh, we have extra time. Can we just like record this other quick thing? Here's another character. And you're like, yep, sick, no worries.
Wow.
So just be prepared to like be able to jump into things and wear multiple hats. Because that's what the fun is as well, like, especially as an actor. Like, we want to create characters, right? So the
Right.
more that you can do and you can give the animators and the production team, the better. And then really just train.
Right.
Like, meet people, like, network, all the things that you're taught to do in the performance industry, but also train. Because with motion capture, especially if you're working in video games, if you can be a bomb actor, you've got, you know, a bit of stunt training under your belt, you know how to use a weapon, you can, you know, take falls. If you can do all of those things, then they're more likely to keep calling you back.
Right. And again, you know, before this whole Unreal Engine, before I got into the animation stuff, I never really thought about the motion capture people. But the more I put like my X-Sense suit on and the helmets I have, it's like, holy crap, this is art, like in a different form. Like, this is insane. And my respect just kind of like skyrocketed because, you know, I'm trying this now and I'm having people try it and it's like, it's no joke. This is pretty hard stuff. And again, it's like, just I'm starting to respect a little. Before I was like, oh yeah, the game's great, but you don't think about, oh yeah, it was mocap. But now I'm like, dude, what's this mocap? Like, it's just, it's pretty darn cool seeing it like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and again, I love talking to people in the channel right now because of the passion, right? Like, I've talked to a modeler, I've talked to a producer, I'm talking to you, and it's just, y'all just love what you do so much. Like, I wish like I can do something like that I love so much because you're so passionate, and that's crazy, man. And again, my hope is like one day, I mean, if anybody's watching this, that they'd be like, I want to do that too. Like, I can do that. That sounds like fun. To me, it sounds scary as heck. I'm not going to do that, like coming into work, not knowing what you're doing. But to others, because like I said, this whole metaverse is changing things. Pretty soon, in a couple of years, mocap suits are going to be so darn affordable, everyone's going to be suited up.
Yeah.
And your job, you know, it's just, man, it's going to get a lot more popular than it is now. So that's why I'm trying to like talk to a lot of people who are in that right now. That, I mean, let's be honest, y'all don't really get the credits or the credit that y'all deserve. I'll just say it flat out. You know, I'm not gonna go, oh man, that was a great game, Tamiya did such a great job. But I'm trying to change that because, man, there's, you know, like the 3D modeler I talked to, they probably don't get recognition. I'm trying to like, these are the guys that are making your stuff, man. Like, instead of just like, oh, that game creator is great. I'm like, no, there's a mocap actor. That thing's hard, you know, like, so it's so cool. And I'm hoping if you know anybody else that would like to talk, I love talking about people's past because sometimes, you know, it just falls on your lap. Like in your case, it's what you wanted to do and you did it. You know, took the leap of faith and everything, which is freaking scary. But that's pretty much all I got for you. I told you I'd try to make this a little bit quick. Do you have anything else for me? And again, thank you for coming and talking to me. Like I said, I've been trying to get somebody in the mocap world, you know, professional from the mocap industry, performer, to come talk to me just to give a couple of tips. Obviously learning from a lot of BTS, you know, and it's you know, all that stuff. That's how I'm learning right now. Go on YouTube, Avatar, you know it. Watching all that stuff. That's how I'm learning as far as performance goes. And again, it's incredible. But yeah, that's all I got for you today. And again, thank you for coming and talking to me.
Fun.
I appreciate it.
I have mad respect for y'all. Like, I am not a technical person.
Right.
So knowing how to run Unreal and create your own characters is bomb.
Yeah. No, well, it's the future, man. That's where we're heading to. But yeah, I appreciate it again. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah, anytime.